if you are not aware of what you're feeling, that's what we said. If you're not aware of the guidance, because it's become normal to feel that way, then the guidance gets bigger. So in the middle of your first awareness of discomfort, whether you call the discomfort resentment or whether you call the discomfort a raging headache, in the first symptom of it, if you can stop and ask yourself, what upstream thoughts am I having right here and now? And you have to do the work. In other words, you have to identify it. Even if we were to identify something, and we will here, even if we were to identify something and help you soothe it, still, that's just a little bit of the work, because it's a pattern of thought that you've developed over a period of time. The easiest way for us to explain this to you is that you have become something that is so exhilarating, and you're not letting yourself go to it. In fact, you're not even letting yourself admit that you want to go. You're not even letting yourself admit that there's even something that you want. What's up with that? In other words, everything about who you were coming in and everything about life is all queued up to cause that expansion. And so when someone says, I don't know what I want, that's a really strong indication of strong patterns of not letting yourself go. So how do you see your role in life? Why are you here? What are you about? How do you dovetail with the other people in your life?
I just want to have some fun.
We know that, but what are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
I'm not doing a whole lot right now, because when I get these, it kind of makes me feel real vulnerable, and I'm afraid to go out there and be...
But apart from those, apart from the headaches, because they are intermittent, so in
But
between
I'm reminded
them,
all the time because of lights and things, and so I'm real sensitive, and so I get reminder, and then I try to think a thought that feels better. And
well, now what you're saying is the guidance that comes forth because of my split energy keeps me from doing anything about cleaning up my energy, and so that's just a cycle that's going to get more and more and more. So identify something that is upstream for you. There has to be.
Spending time with my husband.
Give us more.
Traveling. Just being...
These are things you want to do, but what's happening on a day-to-day basis?
Not getting the stimulation that I need.
You see, there's a really powerful contradiction here that's going on, and this is, and as we speak it to you, you might feel it. It's not possible for someone to be as limp as you are pretending to be to have migraine headaches. In other words, if someone called you on the telephone and said, hello, you don't know me, I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again. You would say, okay. But if someone really important to you were to say, I'll never call you again, you would feel that, you see. And so the fact that you're feeling something so powerful, we're not kidding you. We're not guessing about this. We know that the headache is symptomatic of strong cross-current, which means you've got a strong desire that you are not acknowledging. And so that's what you want to begin watching for. What am I doing that's keeping me? What thoughts am I thinking? Not what action am I taking, but what thoughts am I thinking that are keeping me from going with my natural flow? And as you develop strong patterns, we find you not focusing very much, which is actually something that you've trained yourself, because the less you focus, the longer the time between those. In other words, you're almost afraid to think, because you innately understand that there's something in that thought process that can get that thing going. But we want you to understand that you don't have any problem thinking, and thinking won't be a problem as you are deliberately selecting downstream thoughts. So try that just a little bit. Talk to us about your life.
Kind of boring right now.
They all agree.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if I want to say this on tape because my husband may hear it, but I was always very non-committal in my life, and I met this fabulous, wonderful man 20 years ago. We got married, and at the time I wasn't sure I really wanted to do that, but I did. And I think my life changed considerably when that happened.
How so?
He didn't speak my language, and I was pretty much in charge of everything, and now he speaks English, but I felt like it was overwhelming, basically. But I so connected in a deep level with him that it was okay for me to do it, but I kind of complained to myself at the same time.
Well, it is those day-to-day complaints that are responsible for the majority of your energy.
Isn't. I'm sorry.
It is. The day-to-day to day-to-day. In other words, you have this deep soul connection. That's why you felt compelled to go. But it's the day-to-day stuff that you do that turns you upstream and upstream and upstream and upstream. So it's a really interesting thing when you have this strong relationship, soul connection calling you, but day-to-day things irritating you. It's the perfect recipe for what you're describing. So give us an example of something that is causing that day-to-day discomfort. You feel like you stopped doing what you talked about, being free. Now do you feel not free? You talked about being more free-spirited, and now do you feel more confined?
I feel like part of me is I've lost, and I don't know where it is and how to get it back.
And what was that part like?
Enthusiastic.
And over what?
Life, and just, I traveled a lot, and so that was really exciting, and it was fun, and don't have the responsibilities of day-to-day cleaning the house and doing the checkbook.
All right,
and all
so
that
now
kind
you've
of
heard
stuff.
her. Doesn't it make perfect sense? In other words, can't you feel that this powerful desire to move, and you feel stymied? You feel powerless to make decisions. You feel tied into someone that doesn't want to do the things you wanted to do. You've chosen a lifestyle that varies a little bit. But the thing that we most want you to understand is that you can stand right where you are. In other words, it feels to many people like, I need to do something different. And this is the torment that you've been feeling. You feel as if you have given up a large part of who you are to stay here and be in this relationship, but you can't bear not staying here and being in this relationship. So it feels to you like to do one thing that you must do deprives you of another thing that you must do. And what we want you to understand is that you can stand where you are and do it all, because it isn't about doing, it's about the mental approach to it. So we've been talking about this emotional scale and about love and appreciation and how wonderful they feel on one end, and how the feeling of empowerment is there, and how on the other end is fear or depression, that feeling of despair, and how lack of control or lack of freedom is the underpinning of all of that. And we want you to understand that it does not matter what circumstances you stand in. You can look either way on this emotional scale, and law of attraction will show you evidence of whichever way you're leaning. So over time, as you have developed these patterns of thought that have been contradictory to who you really are and what you want, they have become a sort of dominant thought. Anytime you think a thought for a while, it becomes more and more dominant until eventually it becomes a belief. So the belief, if we were to put words to it, that is present within you is, I want something I can't have. I want to go back to a part of me, and it's not possible. And because the desire to be who you are is so strong, then that short-circuiting is happening, and that's what's at the heart of these episodes that you're having. So now, what you want to do, let's say that you feel the lights are beginning to flash, and you're not experiencing strong pain, but the sensitivity is beginning to come on, and you're sort of in that dread position. Instead of tensing against it, lie down and relax and say, well, for now, this is my emotional guidance system. In other words, this flashing lights is my indication that something that I've been thinking really strongly recently, like in the last day, minutes and hours, and most of the day, maybe even a little of yesterday, is contradictory. Now, you don't have to figure out what it is that you want, because what you want, is it hurting now?
A little.
So what that's about is we are revving up the energy. In other words, we are amplifying who you are, and we're calling you, and we got a little carried away, we're calling you faster than you're able to go. We're saying more than you really understand, but not more than you can understand. We want to say to you that you can figure this out, and you don't have to leave your husband to do it. And you don't have to change your lifestyle. In other words, you can have it all. The ideas will continue to occur to you. It has always been a vibrational thing. It's never been about what you're doing. It's only ever been about what you're thinking and how you're feeling. So when you feel this coming on, what you want to do is do your best to relax and say, this is guidance. It would be nice if it had just been an emotion that I could have found relief from, but this is guidance nevertheless. And so whenever you are aware that you have some negative emotion, whether it's what you would call an emotion or physical discomfort or sensation, stop and say, I appreciate having this signal that lets me know that I'm pointed upstream, and I don't know why I'm doing it. It's just sort of a habit of I've got going, and let's see if I can just release the thought. Now, for you, this is what we want you to realize. You don't have to try to find a downstream thought. All you've got to do is let go of the upstream thought. It's sort of like just putting your brain on pause. It's like, I don't have to think this right now. I don't have to figure this all out all at once. Everything's working out all right for me. I know I made the right decision. If I had it to do all over again, I would make the same decision again. I'm an evolving being, and so is he. There's so much evidence of that. And we never said that we would join at the hip and walk in lockstep everywhere we go. We are a really good compatible base, and I'm so glad that I made this decision. It was the right decision, and it's not depriving me from anything. And I can think whatever thoughts I want to think. I can plan whatever plans I want to plan. And in the planning, the universe will take care of it. What's happening to you is your ideas are expansive, and almost as soon as you launch an expansive idea, like wanting to travel and wanting your mate to go and travel with you, you block that thought by thinking, I want to travel, but he does not. Or by thinking, well, even if he would go with me, he would not be happy going with me. And instead, what you want to realize is that you don't have to figure out how. All you have to do is line up with your own vision, and the universe will figure out how to make it happen for you. You don't have to figure out the way. All you have to do is line up with the thought. And you don't even have to line up with the thought. You just have to stop thinking the contradictory thought. So every time you think he won't go, that's the contradictory thought. Stop thinking that. Start softening it by saying things like, he might go, and I don't know. He's changing too. Everything's changing.
Well, it's time and money, you know.
Well, that's another point of resistance. That's another subject too, you see. But it's just something that you do a little bit at a time. The thing that we most wanted to amplify with you is that we want you to accept the migraine headaches as a gift of information. They're not a problem. They are a gift of information that you can, in the moment, do something about. But once a migraine is underway, it's got your attention. And it's really hard to have that experience and not be upstream. So if you can catch it earlier on and turn it downstream, it won't come on so strong. And in time, you'll head it off altogether.
Yeah, well, I've done that, you know, where I've got an aura and I just kind of try to sit peaceful and quiet. And
But unless you get to the root of what's bringing it on and stop bringing it on, then it's just get it and release it and get it and release it and get it and release it and get it and release it, and you don't solve anything. You have to understand that it's contradictory thought that is at the heart of it. You'll hear much more as we are moving forward.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.